Hi, I'm Jinx, and welcome to Erenshor. Erenshor is a single-player, offline, simulated MMORPG. I know, that doesn't sound like it computes in your head, but think about it for a minute. It makes sense, and it's great! So, Erenshor was designed to be an MMORPG in the old school style. So think like the EverQuest era, right? But it's single player and it's offline. And so the other players that you see roaming around, running around, doing their thing, that you can party up with and play with, and friend and chat, etc., they're all simulated players. They're not real people because it's a single player offline game. All of these sim players were hand-coded by the dev. All their behaviors, all their chats. None of it is AI or LLM stuff. It's just a human being doing beautiful art. Love it. So, since this is old school style, there are no modern quality of life things like you find in like World of Warcraft, you know? And those of us who are loving Erenshor love that. So, for example, quests, of course, will tell you what to do, but they don't give you a GPS arrow or a line on the map, or even a map marker, to tell you exactly where to go to complete the quest. So, listen to what the NPCs are telling you in the chat box, read it, and reread your journal if you need, to refresh yourself. That's great. It kind of harks back to Morrowind. A lot of people love Morrowind for that. And yeah, it works great. And Erenshor does not have a bazillion quests. A lot of XP gain is done from grinding, and grinding gets a bad rap because you think grinding, you're like, oh, this thing I have to do over and over, and it's such a chore. But in Erenshor, it's just straight up fun to play. Different classes are all just fun. And so grinding doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't really feel like grinding. It just is a way to interact with the game that is already fun. Awesome. So that does mean that you'll be going to parts of zones, caves, dungeons, over and over a few times as you want to obviously get XP, but then, of course, gear up. And gear is important. Awesome. And the other thing interesting here is that because it's done in the old school way, there's none of that modern game design that a lot of us old school folks are kind of tired of. So there are no microtransactions. There are no loot boxes. You buy the game and it's yours. So that also means that you can mod it. And there's a huge modding community. And there are some amazing things that have been built as mods. In fact, even though this is a single-player offline MMORPG, there's a co-op mod. It's amazing. And technically, you could have 100 human players playing at the same time if you had the bandwidth to support all that. But that's really cool. So when you're playing, there are 4 classes, and now that the version 0.2 update is out, there's a 5th class. And it's a good mix of classes and interesting things. So you have your paladin, and the paladin is your tank, but you could also kind of spec them into being DPS. Neat. There's a druid, and the druid is your healer, but again, you could also spec your druid into being kind of a dot-ranged DPS class, which I was trying out for a while, which is really cool. I like being non-standard. There is the duelist, who is melee DPS, dual-wielding, swords, daggers, kind of like a rogue. And the 4th original class is the Arcanist, which is kind of like a mage, wizard, sorcerer type who casts ranged DPS spells, yeah. But their main responsibility also to the team, the party, is crowd control. They have a number of crowd control spells that they can, cast on when you pull more than one mob at a time, which happens a lot, and just basically pause them for a bit, crowd control, love it. I like, in a party of 5, I like to play an Arcanist and ignore the crowd control entirely, and also have a sim player arcanist who will automatically do the crowd control for us. So that way I can play a ranged magic user without responsibilities. And then the 5th class is the Stormcaller. This is a very cool, very interesting, unique class because they are a bow user. And people think, wow, an archer! I love archers! Rangers! Cool! They're not just an archer. They actually also have spells. And then their arrows, their arrow abilities can interact with their spells. So it's a lot of fun to be like, oh, plink, plink, shooting your bow, cool. And then you shoot some fun, flaming arrow that does a AoE and all that jazz. But here you're calling down a bolt of lightning on everyone and casting a magic, almost like a magic missile, a storm bolt. And it's a lot of fun. So it took, I want to say about 100 hours, maybe a little more, to level my duelist to the level cap of 35. He was my first 35. And that also included, I would say that includes getting the party of 4 at the time geared up. And most of their gear was upgraded to blue. It's one of 2 upgrades, purple being the second one. And so they were geared and mostly upgraded, and there was still quite a bit more for them to gear up and upgrade jazz. So there's a ton of time that you can be playing Erenshor. It's definitely a full game, there's a lot here. And that's not including forthcoming raids, which is one reason why you will need to be geared up. That's on roadmap, and it's coming. Great. So a couple of little things that I love about Erenshor that many games don't do, but just hit me the right way, right? There are hidden walls, like Doom. One-way see-through walls. So as a tiny spoiler, in one, I won't tell you exactly, but in one early dungeon, you might come across an NPC to talk to who says, oh, there's a hidden jail in a particular dungeon nearby, and it's hidden so you can't easily find it, but if you listen you can sometimes hear the wind blowing through the fake wall. And sure enough, if you go in this dungeon and you have your sound turned up, you can hear wind, the air blowing through, and you're like, oh, that wall is making that sound effect. I was told that's a fake wall, right? Walk right through it. Awesome! And there's a whole nother section. Love it! And that's not by far the only time there's a hidden wall in Erenshor. I love that design so much. I also love that, for example, in late game dungeons, there are quests to access them. Sometimes you just need to maybe have a certain item that makes a certain guard to the entrance who holds the key weak and vulnerable. And sometimes you actually go on a quest that takes you around the world to assemble something to give you access to the entire dungeon, where you could have walked in at any time and thought, wow, this is an empty little dungeon, there's nothing here, until you know all this stuff. And this kind of leads into how there's so much great lore in this game. I love Erenshor's lore. It avoids a bunch of tropes. For example, and this will be a little spoiler, but it's nothing. The way you leave the starter island, Stowaway Step, to get to the main continent of Erenshor itself is through the objectively bad guys. That's really cool. You're not like some great hero and everyone's not worshipping you and you don't have to be the avatar and, stick up for the virtues and whatever. You just want to get off that island. And you find a way to do it, so you do it. So on that note, if you read the notes and journals and stuff that mobs and especially bosses drop, you can piece together the lore, okay? It comes together slowly, and you might start getting an idea as you're leveling further and further. But then I love how late game, say, after you hit 20 or so, 25, a lot more of the lore kind of is revealed to you in different dungeons that you're going into, and you really see what's going on. And then I love when you get to the zone Azinthi's Garden, which is on your main map. That's not a spoiler. I will not tell you anything about that place, but when you do get there, roughly around 30, 33, wow. Just wow, I love it. I'm not going to spoil anything here. I really love how the lore comes together. So 2 more things I just want to share is, first, Erenshor runs really well on the Steam Deck, as well as in Ubuntu with Steam's just default Proton compatibility. I love playing Erenshor on my Steam Deck, hooked up to my big screen TV with my couches very close to, using my Steam controller as a controller. And it's just like, ooh, I love it. And I also have a Kubuntu install on a laptop that I often have been testing with, and that runs perfectly well as well. Love it. So the other thing I want to mention is the Discord. I personally am not usually someone who likes large Discords for games or hobbies. There tend to be a lot of different personalities and egos, and it's just not for me. However, this Erenshor Discord is wonderful. It's a community. People are really chill and respectful, and they're all there because we love Erenshor, and that's great. It's also sometimes kind of a guild chat, because yes, it's single player, it's offline, right? But some of us, I do it myself, we'll be playing the game, and while we're playing, we'll chat in the Discord and post things that happen, or maybe a quick screenshot or something that's interesting. And yeah, it becomes kind of a guild chat, because it's a community of people who love this game together and want to share it together. And on that note, the dev, Brian, he is a solo dev. He has done all this himself, by himself, and he is on the Discord, and he's active. And he loves answering questions, and he also takes smart suggestions. You know, smart suggestions, not the whiny ones. And it's great because it really is a community, and it's just wonderful. So I say, if you're interested in Erenshor, join the Discord, become part of our community. Awesome. So the last thing to let you know is Erenshor has a free demo on Steam, and it's the entirety of Stowaway Step. Very cool. The awesomeness of that is your save, your character, or characters if you choose, when you buy the full game, that save carries over. You don't have to restart again. So for me, I started playing the night Erenshor launched on Steam in April 2025, and I played the demo. This is a free demo, of course. And I had read that the save carries over, and the end of that night when I was done before bed, I was like, I'm buying the full game. I love this game, I want to support it, and that my save will carry over when I grab the full game the next day and get into it. Wonderful. Awesome.